Good morning, guys. Thank you for joining us again. We're gonna get after it today. Of course, it's Michael Gandy, pilot of the ship over here. Programmer, developer, partner extraordinaire, Michael Gaskill at the ready to answer any of your questions in the message box. Please don't hesitate. We did send you guys some data files of the analysis we're going to do today. We're actually kind of thinking about making those available from now on after the webinars, so that you, when it's recorded, can then follow along. And that's only because there's some people that really like it. There's other people that seem to be distracted a little bit, or it's a little bit harder for them to follow along. But the reason we did that is, of course, we got some people with just new mappings, maybe haven't got comfortable yet. And, of course, having these data files gives you an ability, even if you're not mapped, that you can actually load some data and run. So we're going to get after it here in just a second, but we wanted to start off with, Michael's musings, his famous quotes. Analyze your market, not your comps. And that's just an important distinction. We keep going back to it, but it's still, important to mention. We're now entering a space where, you need to communicate some statistical analysis of your appraisals. And statistics, of course, is not math. Statistics is math-based, but math is not statistics. Actually, I should have said that backwards. So when you get into a comprehensive statistical analysis, you really need to focus on a market environment, a total environment. Now that certainly needs to be, you need to be cognizant of style and types of properties, but nonetheless, it might not be, it typically might not be, if you're in a rural market or limited sales. It may not match your 1004MC data, and there's nothing wrong with that, provided you're using reasonable sets of similarity, expanding to high and low sides on either livable area evenly, as well as year built. Usually those things are going to get measured out. And that's just really important. Now, if you're in a rural type of a market, it could be quite expensive. This platform is not restricted by status type. So, for example, we've got a couple of users in some pretty high shingle areas that I've been working with on GoToMeetings, and we've gone back as much as 3-4 years of data and had very, very stable environments, which has exponentially increased the number of properties that we could analyze to extract adjustments, which the law of numbers still applies. It always does in data situations where you've got variations and deviations not highly correlated. Again, I don't want to scare you that we've got wild results out of 5 records. We've got wild results out of 13. I think on a 13 property data set that was highly correlated, good data. I think we solved for 6 variables, and I dare you to do that in any kind of other situation with confidence factors, stuff like that. So it just depends on the quality of data. And today we're going to actually, one of our users is on here, who I got a chance to talk to yesterday. He's digging in deep, and today we're gonna show you some of the tricks that you can do to augment your data. Now, we keep saying that if you get a healthy data set, it's not pragmatic to go through every record. Can it be done? Sure. It's time consuming, but there are times where you're going to encroach on items or variables either pertaining to your subject property or key comparables that really require or warrant, I should say, a little bit deeper of an analysis. And so we're going to try to go through 3 today, and 2 of them involve that, creating separate fields. Now, every MLS is different. We're realizing that, for example, Glaver or Galvar, for you Vegas people that are on board, that however you want the vernacular you use. We have fields like new construction, which is awesome because there's always that ghost factor that as appraisers we've struggled with for years. I've had builder accounts for years, and we always struggled with locating resales, even as little as a year, 2 years old, significantly lower than new construction sales. So there's always been that ghost variable of, is it personal preference? I mean, to a degree, we know you drive a car off the lot and it depreciates like mad within that first day. So it certainly can't be all chopped up to depreciation, but nonetheless, if you treat it as a variable, it's pretty wild that you get some statistically supported numbers for that new construction feature. Glavar or Galvar does not have a remodeled field, which a lot of MLSs do, which is awesome. Galvar has a fixer-upper. So if you get fixer-upper and you get new construction, you pretty much got your C5s and C6s taken care of. Your new construction's your C1. Your remodeled might be somewhere in the C3, C2. I mean, for a remodel, I don't know about you guys, but boy, unless that property is pretty low on actual age, I'm usually not running into C2. I mean, that C2 almost new. You know, I guess if you just totally redid all the bones, but that's something I guess we're going to have to live with this peer rating CU. I haven't had any calls on any of my deals. Hopefully, you guys are in the same boat. So, you know, there's just a lot of things that you can do by augmenting the data in Excel, and I'll show you how easy it is. Now, we normalize everything as far as we can. Views, we take your multiple list fields, combine them. We associate things like, you know, guest house to a variable. We normalize your bath fields if they're individually listed. That's another thing. We've had a few MLSs in the last couple of weeks that have changed their bath totals from giving you the total breakdown of the bath counts and the garage counts to now just providing number of parking spaces and total bath. And the total bath, of course, is not normalized. So in those areas, you know, guys, the platform can only run on what the quality of the data you insert into it. So it's unfortunate. If you can get some reasonable numbers with those without tinkering around, awesome. And we have actually done it together with a few members. But if you can't, it's unfortunate. You might want to scream and kick and all that stuff to your MLS board, see if you can get that changed. But until then, you may have to do some data cleaning. And I'm going to show you today that, you know, there's times where certainly I like to charge if I'm going to do that data cleaning, but you guys know as well as I do, sometimes you bite off the apple before you see what's really inside, and then you have no choice but to do it if you want to do a fair analysis. Don't anybody here in this webinar worry about that CU robo computer. You're the professional. You have the ability to harness statistical data at your fingertips. Could it be complementary to good regression programs? Absolutely. In a lot of cases, it's neck and neck, except there's a lot more flexibility and things that you can do in this platform. There's certainly those bad regression platforms out there. I keep hammering on it, but all my peers, anybody that's using that sexy one, automated, you know, best hook in the world, that's a dangerous platform. I don't care who you use. StatWing's absolutely fantastic user interface as far as regression goes. Yes, it's regression based. Yes, they have confidence factors to deal with and certain limitations outside of what our platform does. But nonetheless, that automated regression, just telling you, that's a dangerous dangerous platform. And in my opinion, it's not compliant with AO18 and USPAP. If you can't intricately see and understand what's going on in the step forward and the step back process, and you've got some, I mean, that just fits the perfect definition of black box. If you have no ability to interact other than potentially augmenting some of their data with your MLS, you guys are better than that. Everybody wants to push a button, but if you really think about it, pushing a button is not necessarily gonna really advance our profession. What do I see happening? I talked to a lot of members. Hate to say it, there's a lot of members that have a hard time even exporting data. And, you know, There's some people that are willing to try and get it going, get it done. But I got news for you. I think we're entering a space where you've got to show your work, at least on the statistical comprehensive side. And I think that bodes well for us in the future. If you show that work, you diffuse a lot of problems, first of all. Second of all, you display professionalism level that is commensurate with higher fees. And I do think there's probably going to be a little bit of a thinning of the herd. I don't like that. And any appraiser that's on here that thinks that you might be one of those people, you don't have to be. You don't have to be. We'll show you with this platform that if you engage and you continually use it, you'll get to where you know it inside and out. It's intuitive. I've only been banging around on it for about 8 months. We've been developing for well over a year. But I call myself the Ginsu master, because I slice and dice these things. I mean, a good data set, I'm in and out in a minute and print my page. You know, some of the challenging ones, we're talking maybe 5 minutes. If I got to clean data, yeah, maybe it takes me an extra 15, 20 minutes, and I'll show you some of those today. But the liberation that you get when you have statistical data and you present it in your report, it's an awesome feeling. And I assure you, no matter what model's being run against you, when they see that data in your report, nobody's going to want to get in a fist fight with you because they know you got data. And under your rule set in your model, these numbers are going to be rendered time and time again. So there's no one solution's a magic bullet. This platform is extremely flexible, allows you to do a lot more than anything out there, that other than if you get into some high-end advanced SPSS, and even then, we've got a method that's completely different than theirs. That's why we filed a patent. But this is a very powerful, flexible statistical modeling program, and ultimately you're in control because you're the professional. Okay, guys, so we're going to get started after that long-winded intro. We're going to go ahead and get started. Test one. I'd like to get through some of these tests today. So why don't you guys, let's go log into your GandySoft account, and then I want you to go to create a new pairs analysis. And I'm still going to slow walk a little bit on the intro, not too terribly bad, just so people can stay up with some of the key stuff, effective dates, stuff like that, file name. So for this one, why don't you guys go ahead and let's put in the title. Let's do test one. I'm going to go ahead and put in the date. You don't need to do that. And we got a single family home. And I'm looking for my effective date, which was February 6th. I give you real world stuff, guys, stuff that I do. I'm boots on the ground just like you. 26 years. I knocked out probably 6, 7 appraisals this week. I'm slow though, and plus I'm doing other stuff, as you can imagine. So once you've put in test one, single family, and the effective date of 2/6/2015, I want you to click save. And we're going to go ahead and load the data, and then we're going to go ahead and get into talking about it. So go to the data change button. Make sure the source says Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors. You need to select that, especially for you out of this area users. And then I want you to click Upload. And so right now I want you to load, you see that you have 2 test 1 data files. I want you to load the one that is cleaned with remodeled. It says test 1 with today's date, pairs cleaned with remodel. Just double click that file and upload that, and I'll tell you why here in just a second. And also, so of course, as we've told you many times, when you load your data, basically all that initially happens is you have all your data tabled, indexed, getting ready for traditional paired sales analysis, of course synthesized with some of those tolerances. You can certainly look at it. I mean, this is not the optimal way to review the data. It's much easier to do in the sub-market filtering dialog, which I'll show you later. But So we're going to kind of jump a little bit around here. Now, I just had you load the test 1 clean file with remodeled and a remodeled field, which we don't have in Glavar. So before we go forward, I just want you to know, like, if you create another field, sometimes we have logic built in that it will intuitively, and you can use the arrows, guys, to scroll that data. But we do have some logic built in that will intuitively sniff out some variables that you may add in Excel. And I'm going to show you how to do that here in a second. I'm just for one thing, I want to let you know that I took that original data set that you see, the one that's not cleaned, and I'll open it up here in a second. But I created another field at the end, a column header called remodel. So when you create a new field, though, you want to go to the Fields tab list. And the reason is because, like I said, occasionally we'll be able to figure it out. But you're going to want to go into your field list and just make sure that it's assigned properly. Now, you can see right here that I added remodel, and we've automatically populated that based on other MLSs we've encountered. I'm not worried about the assignment. I'm just worried about the beneficial or adverse. Is it beneficial? Yes, it is. Being remodeled in this case. This is important. We'll get into this later. I do another one where there's a street view. Well, street view was not beneficial, so we click no. But on this one, remodel, it's already done for us. We don't even have to touch it. But I just wanted to show you that you need to come in here if you add a variable, because it may not be defined by us, and you may have to assign, is it a beneficial or an adverse. So just click update to leave this screen. And trust me, now I've said this a million times, you're not supposed to look at what jumps off the page and have a heart attack. So I want you to go up here to the upper right-hand hyperlink. It says Analyze Pairs. And of course, when it opens up, it's going to do an initial analysis on that data. Nobody panic, though. You can't look at what jumps off the page because we've got things to do. We've got pruning to get done. We've got variable lists. We've got tolerances to look at, stuff like that. So I want to take a second real quick and just show you kind of what I did here with the data initially. And I'm going to open it up in Notepad, and I'm going to dump it over into Excel so that I can show you guys what I did and what you can do and what you shouldn't be afraid to do. Okay, guys, I'm bringing over Excel. All right, so let's talk about some scenarios. So I have an 1182 square foot single story. All right, guys, so some scenarios. I got a completely remodeled kitchen, bath, floor paint, small house, 1182, and I'm going to show you where that is here in just a second. Single story, built in 1985 with 3 bedrooms. And of course, like I spoke to you earlier, Glavar does not have a remodeled field. So in that situation, I made one. It's relevant to me, relevant to my assignment. Even though it's a modest area, you certainly want to be apples to apples. So you can see that this is all, I just want to show you guys. So these are all the Glavar fields that come out. I just dumped them into Excel after copying them in Notepad. And these are all Glavar standard fields till we get to the very end. So I made a field called remodel. And yes, this a little bit laborsome, not too bad. I think we had, now this is sales and listings, so remember, we don't analyze the listing part as far as in the for the adjustments. But nonetheless, yes, it was a little laborsome, but I went through and I created a field remodel. I went through every property record and I marked a yes for the ones remodeled and no for the ones that weren't. And remodeled was certainly not well maintained. I mean, it had to be remodeled, either in the commentary or you could clearly see it in the photo records. So I went through all the data, and that's called data cleaning, guys. And I'll show you in a later one. Not only did I do the remodel, but we do a street view as an adverse. So after I cleaned all that and I added in yes for no's, or yeses to the ones that were and the no's that were not, Y and N actually is all you need. All I did was save as, not an Excel workbook. That's a no-no. But I saved it as a tab delimited. And I'll show you the word. I'll just save it exactly. And I've got a lot of garbage here. So, all I do is save it as a tab delimited. It asks you a bunch of verify this, verify that, blah, blah, blah. But that's it. Now, once you do that, you can come back, or you can actually come into PAIRS and load that file up, and you're going to have that variable created. Now, just to give you guys an idea, there's some Vegas people on board, so I want to give you guys some context. I'll load into this thing real quick. Anyways, we were up there, Alta Buffalo. Let's give you some context. You Vegas guys know that you know this area just like I do. So, born and raised. For you people out of town, just this is good just to give you an idea of how to pull your data, define your market area. I mean, you define your area. You don't want to be doing. I mean, unless you live in an absolute cereal bowl neighborhood. It's pretty impractical to think that you're going to be using a 2-mile radius tool. I use Polygon tool. I'm sure most people do. So you know what? I'm up in here. I mean, all you Vegas guys and gals, you know the area that I'm talking about. I mean, it's not rocket science. So that's basically my defined area. Run up to the Summerlin Beltway. Got your rainbow. I don't usually swing up here. You guys probably know why. Those Angel Park properties, they're just kind of their own little. I mean, you certainly could if you're doing one of the bigger properties out here, newer 2 stories. I'm a single story built in 1985. So now in this case, I actually did something that I tell you not to do. Occasionally you can do it if you got a healthy data set, but I actually put in some pretty stringent parameters. I put in plus or minus 25% livable area, which you certainly, I would prefer that you load the whole market area and filter this in the platform, because you could still apply that same filter in the platform, and it's much better to do. And then on your built, I did a plus or minus 10 years. So you can see we got fairly small. I mean, of course, we're a few days outside of this, but listings, pendings, and contingents, we have 88 today. I mean, if you just get down to solds, you're looking at a pool of 64. Now, yeah, it's not very healthy. Like I said, I'm a ninja. Once you get comfortable, you can actually take on smaller. You're just making it more difficult on yourself. But you know what? Sometimes I am a glutton for punishment, and I just like to find sensitivities, and I'll tell you about sensitivities here a little further when we get into these tolerances. So I'm fully remodeled. But what's a remodeled out there in this pretty modest, pretty modest area? I mean, I want you to go up here to, well, first thing, let's go up here to just submarket change box. I want you to click in there. Let's just get some context going. I want you to go down to sale price per square foot. So this shows our range that's in the data set. high to low. So you can see that, you know, your median price per square foot, some are bouncing around about 112, 113 bucks a square foot. So before we leave, I just to give you some context, I want to show you that. So go filter type, and I want you to go none. That basically, we're not adding a filter. We were just eyeballing stuff. So click none for filter type, and then I want you to click save. So first thing, like I said, we don't want to look at what's jumping off the page. Now, there's a lot of people that are going to get nervous when that happens. This is modeling, guys. This is how it is. This is data, but there's a lot of stuff we got to do. We got to examine market rate. We got to prune through variable lists, all kinds of stuff. Now, these things become intuitive. You get done really fast when you got good sets of data. Not a problem. But first thing let's do is let's go into the market rate change box. Let's eyeball this market. Okay, so we got, you know, of course you've got your period over here to the far right. I mean, this is all the data that we have. I only went a year back. I could have gone further if I wanted, if I needed more data to rope in. You can analyze, you know, half month or half year, excuse me. A little bit counter weird on that prior quarter. Certainly see you're back to, you know, a crazy amount here. There's probably some outliers. Now this is still weighted. But you can see that there's probably some data in here that might need some attention, might just be something goofball. But let's go back to that year. I mean, you can see the candles increasing. I mean, I'm on board. I mean, we're talking about right now an annual rate of 6.9%. Now, this market really was taken off like wildfire about 6-8 months ago. It was definitely higher than that with these low interest rates fueling that demand. Of course, over here to the left, you've got sales price, which sale price per square foot, you know, typically more of a better view overall to us. And of course, you can, you know, you have all those multiple options if you like scatter, if you like area, any of these things. And we're getting ready, guys, to roll out a lot of this stuff in a graphical format that you can just cut and paste. And again, you can choose we always choose median as a default, but you've got some minimums, maximums. If you're just kind of exploring what's happening in that area. But let's go ahead. I want you guys to apply a annual rate. It should be 6.9249%. Just click apply. That means we're going to accept it. And you know what? Up here it says unadjusted days, 30 days. The prior month, we're not going to touch that. Now what's this going to do? So we're applying a market rate, just like you've always done. Now there are just a very, very few situations where it doesn't apply. Click apply to that and save. But there's a very slim amount of MLSs that don't have contract dates published. But if you do have a contract date published, what that does is that takes that market rate on a straight line basis for now, and it'll apply that annual rate on a daily rate from the contract date to the effective date of your analysis to all of the properties in your data set prior to the extraction of the adjustments. Just like you do as an appraiser, typically you find a market rate, you apply that market rate, and then if you need to look for adjustments, you do it after the fact. So basically that smooths out any market rate conditions that might be occurring in your data, which sometimes significantly can change some stuff. Sometimes it doesn't make much difference at all. So we don't want to sub-market filter anything. That's good. We applied a market rate which is reasonable. Okay, so now we're going to start looking at stuff. So still not getting excited because we haven't touched anything. This is just coming out of the gate. We got bathrooms, not crazy bad. I mean, if you start looking at some of these statistics in the dialog box under the current model rules, we're looking at 272 pairings to get those adjustments. So I assure you there's statistical weight under these rules. But we've got a counterintuitive no solution here on lot size. So you can't leave that in your model. One way or another, You can't leave a counterintuitive solution or a non-credible one in your model. Why? Because even though we isolate variables and solve for variables, they still are in an environment where they're interrelated. So this no solution could be impacting or adding to or taking away value from another variable. So you got a few things you can do. I mean, if you just, commando and say, hey, I'm just going to select none for the strategy, and lot size doesn't mean a hill of beans to me in that area, you could select none for the strategy and update, and then you start getting numbers without lot in the mix. I personally think that lot might be negligible out there, but certainly you can see now your livable area is getting a little bit high cotton for my area. Bathrooms is whacked out. Garage not too bad. Got some gated. That stuff right there is there's not much of this going on in there. Yeah, look at that. There's one record. When you click on gated, highlight it, go down to the stats tab. This stats tab always is a good way for you to analyze what's going on in the market. For example, there's one record in this data set that's gated. Now, it's cascaded against the other property 61 times in the third generation to come up with that amount, which might not be unreasonable at all, but it's something to consider. Personally, I mean, I just, I like having lot size in my model, so I'm going to go back to add a variable and put that lot size in. And so now I know I've got lot size showing nothing, and I'm going to start playing around with some tolerances. This is something that I'm looking for sensitivities. Basically, these tolerances, like I've explained to all of you before, this allows a buffer for the platform to consider properties within this tolerance assigned by you to say that they're equal in the livable area for the purposes of extracting out an adjustment one other different variable in between them, such as garage bay. You get a 1,500 square foot house with a 2-car garage and a 1,480 with a 3-car. Adding this 2% allowable tolerance in that livable area allows the platform to say, okay, for all intents and purposes, that 1,480 and 1,500 are fine, except what's the difference in the garage? Now, remember, they got to line up on all the other variables. They at least have to be within tolerances or identical. And in the iterative method, it'll still go back and address that 20 square foot and still record a value for them. But, I mean, so, now remember, we're at 1,182 square foot, so 2% tolerance, guys. We're talking 23 square feet, 24 square feet. Not a big tolerance. So I'm gonna start opening stuff up here. Now, just so you know, I'm a 3-bedroom property as well. And now there's some property. I'm 1,182 square feet, so there's quite a few properties in here with 2 bedrooms. Now, I know as a lot of appraisers will try to say, well, if I'm doing livable area, though, I don't want to get in the bedroom. Well, sometimes you have to step back and say, is there a utility difference? There may be. It's not necessarily double dinging, especially if you create it as a variable, because you're measuring it out in the market. So now, of course, like I said earlier, we added in a remodeled field. So there's a few things that before I even start wanting to mess around my tolerances, I want to at least get some things that are significant to me or I think might be. So I want you to go to add a variable. First thing we're going to add in is bedroom. Now, before you click update, let's add another variable. Let's go down to remodel. Because I have a 2-bedroom that's a full-blown remodel like mine, but it's a 2-bedroom and I'm a 3. And I do have a fully remodeled house, so these two are important factors to me. So after you've added bedroom and remodel, I want you guys to click update. And again, you're not worrying about what's going to jump off the page because we haven't even started to dig in. But you can start to see now that bathroom that was not too bad, obscene, but it was a little, getting high in a modest area. You can see that the addition of bedroom and remodel has shown that there's some collinearity there between the number of baths in a bedroom or the remodel status. Again, garage, not killing us. $4 to $5 grand. I mean, a lot of appraisers, hey, we're that's what we're after, boys, right? I mean, to statistically support that number based on 177 pairs with a good distribution, hey, we're looking for that. Again, we got that gated. There's one property. It's not making me want to commit suicide. You know, hey, modest area, we're $113, $112 a square foot. Now, I told you guys, typically, if you get this one right, you're going to start to see a lot of things fall into line. I'd like to say in the majority of cases, you're looking at about 50% to 70% is typically your goalposts on livable area. We've ran thousands of sets of data. That's how it works. We've ran thousands of sets of data with pairs and analyzed it with regression platforms, good ones out there. And guess what? Yeah, primary driver, livable area. You're not gonna find that it's gonna be too much lower. Occasionally, more modest price areas. You know, it's nothing to be in the 40%, or in areas with a higher premium paid to lot and potentially view. A lot. You know, we had no solution on the original, so we've got a very small. We're talking a low of 11 cents to a high of 15 cents. Now, that kind of makes sense when we popped out of the gate. We had no solution which showed either counterintuitive, it was negative. I doubt you're going to pay less for a house because it has a bigger yard, so that's silly. But it might be, minimal significance. Now, a lot of people would say, well, maybe I should just take that out of your model. Well, you can. It might be adding balance to the rest of your variable list. But the broader point is it may be something that you want relevant to have in your model in case you encounter one of your comparables that's a very good comp that maybe has a considerably larger or smaller lot. It might, at least you can communicate to the end user why you didn't pay a lot of significance to it. Now, we get down here, though, so we're looking good up here, but we get down here to pool. It's a modest area, but, we as appraisers, we don't like seeing $2,000 unless you're talking about a doughboy. But in modest areas, you'll see that it does happen. There's some areas in North Las Vegas, we're talking about the $60,000, $70,000 price ranges where we ran data every which way but loose. And we could actually, if we coded pool as a negative, get you a negative number for a pool. Now, I don't know if that means people don't want to maintain a house with a pool. They don't care about it. It's just an eyesore, or they're going to trash it one way or another. But in some areas, you'll see that a pool feature is just not significant. REO and repo. Hey, I'm not using them in my report, guys, but I got news for you. I got friends at Fannie Mae. Those 20 comps they're spitting out, they're throwing in distressed sales in there, short sales and REOs. Now, I don't know if that's because they can't discern the difference between the properties, but you want these in your model. If somebody asks you, why didn't you use these properties based on a CU analysis of comparables, and it happens to be a distressed property, well, for goodness sakes, you can show them exactly why you didn't use them. They're lagging the market significantly. So year built, not too bad, but you know what? Hey, I want you guys to engage and play. So I want you to go, let's go to livable area. Let's go to that 2% tolerance we got right now. Let's put that at 5. Why 5? 1,192 square foot. I mean, 5%, we're talking about, what, 55 square foot, 60 square foot. A lot of us pragmatically as appraisers aren't going to adjust within 50 square foot. Doubt you'd probably go to 100 on that area, but you might. You're the professional. Under your rule set, you can do whatever you want. As long as it's reasonable and understandable, there's nothing wrong with that. But let's go to livable area, and let's change that to 5%. And then you know what? Let's go down to let's go to this lot. We've got 500. Let's look at the stats tab when we go to lot, though, first. Just give you out-of-towner some context. So we go from 2178 square foot to 9583 in lot size. So 500 square foot of difference, not not a whole lot of roping in that's going to happen. That's a very small variance. But considering how small these are, what would happen if we just plugged in, let's say 20%? I mean, 20% on your mid-range is just a hair over 1,000 square foot difference. A lot of us appraisers within 1,000 square foot for lot, we're not making the adjustment anyways. So we can leave it as 500 or put in 1,000, but let's put in 20%. Again, in this data set, that's on average going to be somewhere around 1,000, 1,100 square foot difference in lot. And after you guys make those two changes, I want you to click Update. And then let's start seeing what's happening with our model under different rules. Okay. Bathroom, bedroom, remodel. Now, I assure you guys that my people spent more than 10 grand. We got a low of 7,100 to a high of 10 with an 8,500. I assure you they spent more than 10, but we know cost is not always equal to value. So just because someone spends 30 grand on the remodel, that's our job. Tell them how much you're going to get back in the market. Now, you get somebody with a bag full of cash wants to buy your house, that's fine. I'm doing an appraisal based on a risk perspective from a bank, trying to weigh out what the typical buyer is going to pay as premium for certain things. So that's not scaring me. Garage bay, okay, I'm modest house. That's a little high. That's a little bit high. I mean, we had 5 grand earlier. We probably wanted to do a backflip. Probably should have just taken that number and ran. This gate, again, you know, I got one property in there. I'm not using a gated one. Now, we got two things we could do here, guys. First thing is, let's go to that gated field, and I want you to drop down to none for strategy. And then I want you to click Update, and I'll tell you what we just did. So I don't like that gated. Plus my lot size, if you had noticed the steps, back to no solution, which doesn't make us happy. Now, we just removed that from the variable panel, so we said it's not significant to the platform. So it'll still consider that property for extracting out other items. So we didn't remove it from analysis totally. Now, if we would have gone, we could go also to we still got this no solution here. But trust me, we've got a 4-year, let's go to year built, go to stats. We got a 4-year variance here. You know, we're 1985. Hey, you know what? Let's just change that to 6. I mean, there you go, real world, appraiser stuff again. 6-year tolerance. Remodeled houses in there. Click Update after you do that, guys. Remodeled houses in there. Is that something to really be concerned about? No, not to me. But you know what? I mean, look, that lot size is just not significant at all under this rule set. And we took out that gated. Now, I'm not using gated, but I want you guys to know that let's add it back in as a variable. Just because you're not using or you don't encounter a variable in your data set against your comparables doesn't necessarily mean that you can't include it or you shouldn't include it in your model. I mean, this is the model. Now, I got that no solution. Now, if you guys look up here, I got a filter, trim 2.5. Now, that's trimming 2.5% of the recorded results from the negative low side of the histogram. Here's your central points, of course. And 2.5% from the upper end. But I don't like that no solution. Hey, I don't like it. I don't like that gated. Let's take that out again. None. And click it Update. You know what? So I've got some decent adjustments, but I got no solution here. So I'm either going to have to kick lot size, which I don't like. I got a little bit elevated on that garage bay. Pool's a little low, but you know what? Okay, that's on trim 2.5. Let's try another statistical filter. I want you guys to change trim 2.5. I want you to change the 2.5 to 3, and I want you to drop it down to standard deviations. Now this might not give you the most uniform histograms because unlike regression, we don't throw everything in a hopper and get everything into a certain distribution pattern. But change that to standard devs and let's do 3. We'll go 3 standard deviations out from the central point of values recorded for those adjustments. So we've got bathroom, 3,000 to 4,000, 3,500. Hey, you know, I like to round. I'm locking that in at you know, $4,000 probably, $3,000. Bedroom, I mean, bone almost on the money, $5,000 for the 2-bedroom to the 3-bedroom. In this data set, everything was 2 or 3. And you know what? I know personally that I would think those 2 bedrooms would have a little bit less utility. And so that's a reasonable number. Again, that remodel, the central point was pretty similar, about 8,500 on the different trim setting. But you know what? They're not getting back that 15 to 20. They're going to get about 85. Garage bay, I'm looking at 3,500 to 4,800. Hey, 4,000 for a garage bay, modest area, not bad. Let's look at this livable area, $65 a square. Now we talked earlier, my rule of thumb, 50 to 70% is typically where your livable area is going to happen. Sometimes you're down there in the 40s, depending on some different factors, lot size stuff or land value and stuff like that. But you know, if you divide, you know, 65 by 113 price per square foot, you're looking at 57%. Primary driver, certainly in that area. Lot size, very small. We're looking like a cent. Again, now we could take this out of our model, and I might show you that. But well, let's look at the other stuff first. But pool, it's just not a significant driver. I mean, there's some value to it. Let's look at the stats tab. There's only 6 properties with a pool, but if you look at even the grouping statistics, you know, on the maximum, for example, it's lower. The mean is actually $3,000 higher. Year built, you know, $300-400 a year. Awesome. I still can go, you know, as far as I want, where I think it's not negligible to make an age adjustment. But if I do reach a point where I think that age is, you know, probably enough of variance to make an adjustment, I've got a reasonable number. But let's go back to this lot size. Now, like I said, you might want to leave that in your model to show that it's not a significant variable. In case you encounter one with 1,500 square foot, why didn't you adjust? Well, I mean, you want me to adjust $15 or? So let's see what happens if we select none on the strategy and take it out, though. Because sometimes they add balance, even though you don't think it's significant. Okay, well, it bumped up your age. You know, you're getting a little bit higher on your age. Maybe that doesn't scare you. Your pool stayed about the same. Your livable area went down just a tad. Garage bay's hanging tough. Remodel went down even further. You're getting $7,000 now. That's almost just like carpet and paint. And trust me, guys, when I say remodel, I mean granite, you know, the new kitchens, baths, all that stuff. So that looks a little bit light, but hey, we're looking for the market, not making it up. Bathrooms went a little high again. Not too bad, but I mean, modest area. Modest area. It's all relative. I still wouldn't jump out of bed for that. I mean, that'd be fine. Bedrooms, you know, a little bit lower. So you see, in this situation, let's add back in that lot size. Don't be afraid to have something in that shows minimal significance. Sometimes that can help you make your case in your appraisal when you're looking at your comps on the grid. Supply that data to your end user. All of these numbers right here are credible. Good numbers. I'm not messing around. Time's money. Now, I cut this up in literally probably 4 or 5 minutes after I probably spent 10 to 15 cleaning my data. And I did do that because I had that remodeled factor, and I wanted to know. Bedrooms was automatically calculated, so we could test that regardless. But once you're confident with that model, guys, go up to that upper right-hand Define Adjustments hyperlink and click that Define Adjustments. Remember, we got that low and that high. You know what? I might lean on the livable area if I put all my comps on the grid, and $55 is the better number. I might put 55 in here. I'm statistically supported anywhere in these goalposts. You guys don't have to accept this central number. Now that bedroom count looks so good at 5,000, it just makes you want to scream. I'm accepting that. I mean, garage bay, I like to round. I'm not messing around with a calculator. And lot, I mean, I don't have much choice. If you really, it's 1 cent per square foot. Pool, yeah, even if you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, you know, what am I going to change it to? 3,500 at the high side? I'm not doing 3,550. That looks goofy. REO and short sale, I'm leaving those alone. I'll round that to 400 in case I use an adjustment. Remodel, I'm rounding that number. Now you know what? 8,500. Probably 50% of the remodel cost. Now you know what? There's a lot of people using their own labor doing stuff like that, so my guys paid contractors, probably not a good choice. But on a, you know, not bad. And bathroom, you know what? I'm rounding it to 4. After you put in the numbers that you want, I mean, typically I do this, guys, after I've gridded out my comps. I put in my validate page after I've adjusted my comps. Why? Because when my comps are on that grid, if $65 or $70 a square foot makes my range, adjusted range, better, well, then I'm putting it in. I'm supported anywhere in there. This is the power you have. Now you guys click save after if you just accept those numbers, that's fine. Click save. And then I want you to go to the validate adjustments page. Everybody's seen it. If you haven't seen it, here you go. We take the ambiguity out of it. This is your model rules. Very important. Under your rule set, these numbers will be regenerated time and time again. We take the ambiguity out. This number of properties in here, the ranges between them, some variations, what filter you used, your market rate, effective date, all that good stuff. We took that ambiguity out, though. We put in the histogram, some statistical data points, number of pairs that went into that number, 1,778. Your number, not the range, the number you assigned. Okay, and we got the Russian. Michael came back. If you ever get the Russian, guys, click refresh. We've got some kind of hamster going around there. Anyways, and some commentary at the bottom, the analysis model. This is what you want in your report, guys. Now, our PDF and PNG are not functional at present. I don't know why. Matter of fact, we might take that. I don't even know. But if you're using Chrome, because our analytics are provided by Chrome, or excuse me, Google, and Chrome is a Google-based browser. It's awesome. But if you're using Chrome, there's this web page screenshot, 2 words. You can go to Chrome and search for web page screenshot. Awesome tool. I mean, look, I'm highlighting my stuff when I'm done gridding out my comps, going to an extra map page. Copying that, and I'm pasting it right in my report. And guys, you start putting stuff like that in your report, nobody's going to want to get into a fist fight. Like I said before, you got data. You did a comprehensive analysis. That's what they want. They know. They don't give us access to the CU model because they know that it's incorrect at times. Is it good at some times? I'm sure. Regression runs good when you get really healthy environments at times too. But doesn't matter. You guys got data in there. They're stamping off on that one. Model must be wrong because the appraiser did the data. That's what it's all about. By the way, if you guys want to, there's a quick video on our, anywhere on the page, guys, at the very bottom, there's a YouTube link to our YouTube channel. We have a very small Chrome web page screenshot for GandySoft PAIRS. It's literally 1 minute 47 seconds. Show you where to get it, how to do it. Takes 2 seconds. You want to get that screenshot tool, though. Makes your life simpler. Now listen, so let's go up to the upper the upper right-hand corner blue hyperlink says view report. Here's your work file retention report. Now this is the one that your end user doesn't need to see all this junk. This is the range, the low and the high, all the statistical data points from your model. And again, just web page screenshot that, print it as a PDF, dump it in your file, or print it out. Your call. Anybody ever comes calling, you guys got data. And explainable data. Paired sales analysis with the iterative method. Lot, which is just basically algebra. A lot simpler than trying to act like you know intricately everything about regression, which I've used regression for years. It's definitely not easy and certainly complicated, and I certainly couldn't explain it intricately if put on the hot seat. So we're done with that one, guys. I was satisfied. Now that was, now I want to go back real quick before we move on. I'm going to go back to the analysis. And I just want to show you some of the differences with our platform now on just a pragmatic basis, the flexibility that you have. Some of you may know some of the confidence levels when you're dealing with regression, stuff like that. I just want to go back to the stats tab. Remember, we had 64 properties in this data set, guys. 64. Now, we solved for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We solved for 10 variables with some very credible numbers in a data set of 64 properties. Now, typically, most regression platforms will tell you that you need 15 to 20 samples per variable in your model. So in this data set of 64 properties, competitively with regression, you would have need to have any kind of reasonable confidence levels, anywhere between 150 to 300 properties in your data set, or 200 properties in your data set. So this is the power that you have at your control with statistical modeling based on the gold standard, paired sales analysis, and iterative method, which is just algebra. Iterative method is a fantastic refinement tool. But it just goes to show you, we're not limited. There's no limitations. Now, we do have some minor rules in place. Like, for example, we're not going to let you solve for a variable with one pair and then feed that into the iterative process going forward. Why? Because, even though we don't deal with confidence factors, if we didn't have some minimum rule sets in place, it gets to be a little bit dangerous if you run across one of those tertiary or secondary variables that picks up some noise with a limited set of pairing going forward. So we do have a minimum threshold to meet, but solving for 64 variable or 10 variables in a 64 property data set, that's pretty much almost impossible in most different methods. And in a notion of all things regression, we're the island standing there alone with the gold standard paired sales analysis. So I'm telling you, you guys with experience in regression will know exactly what I mean. It's very exceedingly tough to pull off 10 variables like that in such a small sample size and get some kind of statistical credible numbers. Even with a big sample size, it's hard. So we chopped that up out of the way. Now, let's go ahead and go back to the GandySoft. We're going to get through it. We got we got two more. And the last one is the goodie. The last one is the street view property with an adverse situation. And my Vegas peeps are going to laugh because you guys are all going to want to know what I did. So I want you guys to go create a new analysis. And let's just go ahead and label it test 2. I'm adding in the date just for my purposes. Again, we had a single family property, and the effective date that I inspected this property on, again, was February 6th. I like to do my inspections all on one day so I'm not running around town like a fool. So you'll see a recurring theme sometimes on my dates. So then I want you guys to click Save. So let's go to that data change button. Make sure our source says Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors, and click Upload. And I want you guys to go to the test 2. There's only one file. Test 2, 214, 2015, Tracia. I don't know the pronunciation of that. Right across from Red Rock for you Vegas people. Okay, guys, so here's our data set. You know, I'm not going to play much around here. We didn't have to do anything. I mean, I'm literally, you know, built 2009, nice home, guard gated. I mean, all that good stuff. So let's just go right to the Analyze Pairs blue hyperlink. Again, never, ever, ever be concerned with what jumps off the page. That's so important, because when people, some new users look at it and go, oh my God, you don't want to get shell shock and scare yourself, because it's not how it works. You got a lot of stuff to deal with. So now we have defaults, guys. Livable area is a default. Bathrooms is a default. Garage is a default. Pool is a default. Now, you don't see garage and pool in here, and that's because we don't have any with pools, and we didn't have any with a difference in garage. So we consider that an invariant. All of the properties were 2-car garages. So of course it's not going to populate if it's if there's no difference between that variable. It'll never come up with a value. It can't. Everything's the same. So we do have some defaults that will pop up if you have them in your data set, and we've identified them, such as new construction. Things that we think could make a significant difference to you. Guard gated. If we sniff that one out, yeah. If we have your field mapping where we can find a location for that recurring, even if it's in a multi-list field, we'll associate them all, and we'll find out and we'll populate that just for you. Now you don't have to accept those variables that pop up, and we're going to probably kick out a few. But we're just letting you know that there might be some variables in there that add some significance. Now you can either manage them in the submarket filter dialog box, or you can manage them by getting rid of them, or you can analyze. For example, guard gated. You go to the stats tab. We got 13 properties that are guard gated. Of course we do. I'm in a guard gated. I'm in Tracia. And I'll show you the market area here in a second. Why is there 20 that are not? Well, for you Vegas people, I'll show you my market area. You guys can tell if I'm doing a good job or not. And we're all peers, so hey. But it's in Tracia, or however you pronounce that. That's the oddest name track. He's right here. I'll show you exactly where trachea boundaries are. The only little guard gated across from Red Rock in here. Everything else is gated. This is the only one that's guard gated. Actually, this little Pulte tract is not even gated, I don't believe. But what did I define my area as? I just swung it over here. I mean, to this little enclave. I mean, I didn't go into Red Rock or do nothing goofy, but certainly I just didn't restrict myself to 13 properties in Trachea. Now, listen, guys, I did 13 properties in that townhouse development in that guard gated, or not guard gated, but that guard gated or gated Silverstone Ranch townhouse community, and I only had 13 properties to deal with because it was an attached product. And we got awesome numbers because those were very highly correlated. I mean, there was not a lot of variation. The highest sale was the biggest property. The lowest sale was the smallest property. Worked out. But that's my area. I'm in here. 1,753 square foot, 2-story, about $310,000 sale price. But we got garbage jumping off the map. Now remember, first thing we got to do is go to the market rate change. Does this apply? Yeah, look, that's going down just slightly. But I mean, if you know, just because there's a technical trend line, you guys have to step back, try to visually look at those candles without that trend line in there. Might not be that easy to look at with scatter. There you go. Maybe stepped is the better one on this one. But, you know, if I take that out of my mind, I mean, that looks pretty stable. I don't know. I don't really know what you guys would say on that. I'm taking the long view. I'm stepping back. I've got downward here. I've got in the last half of the year, I've got up. In the current quarter, I've got up. So some seasonal in here, certainly. But I'm calling that stable. So I'm just canceling out. I'm not applying a rate at all. Of course, I don't like any of these numbers here, but I'm not worried. Livable area tolerance is 2%. Highly skewed histogram. I'm looking at my stats. 2% is small. I'm dealing with small houses. You know what? I'm opening that up. I want you guys to open up your tolerance on livable area to 4%. I got, you know, our standard default lot size is 500. Yeah. You know what? I'm opening that up to 1,000. These tolerances still get addressed in the iterative method. All I'm doing is opening up the carburetor, allowing for more pairings to identify significant variables like potentially bath, which right now under very restricted tolerance rule sets is only generating 13 pairs, and it's an obscene number that I wouldn't accept today, tomorrow, or within the next 50 years. I mean, unless we have some hyperinflation going on. And year built, I got at 4. Now, I am 2009 built, and I do think that just like that new car smell wears off quick, I do think when you're in the newer market, you might be a little bit more sensitive to age. You can play. 4 might work. That doesn't mean you couldn't adjust. You could have a tolerance for 4 years in your model, and you still could adjust for 2 or 3 years. That's your call. You're the professional. Just like you don't explain when you don't adjust for 50 square foot of livable area, you might not explain that, of course, your model derived this adjustment. That doesn't mean that there's not negligible differences that you as the professional don't think merit an adjustment. But I'm going to change that year built tolerance to 2. So we changed our livable area lot size and our year built. Don't worry, these update when we update. They still show the default for now. But click update. Okay, that, yeah. You know what? I'm not liking any of this yet. We got trim 2.5. I mean, we're seeing some data. We've got some really high outliers over here, though. Now, typically these balance out. You know what? Instead of trimming 2.5%, why don't we trim 5% on each side evenly, statistically acceptable, and click update. Robust. Now, you know what? I've got this gated and guard gated. Well, you know what? The only premium to me, guys, that matters is guard gated. I don't care about the gated feature. I want to know in relation to my guard gate what these other properties are worth. So in gated, I want you guys to just drop down none. Now those numbers were scary at first, but I just want to show you. I did this literally in a couple minutes. Now, look what just happened. You got about a $6,000 to $7,000, almost $8,000 bath. Totally credible in that area. Guard gate. Anywhere between 20, 28,000, 24,000, the central point. That's not unreasonable. Livable area, 66 to 94, 80 bucks, 80 bucks. Now let me go on the submarket change. Remember, we're in high cotton territory here. These people, we're up in Summerlin. Guard gated community. Our median price per square foot, I don't know, about 173. So 80 divided by 173, about 46%. But I'll tell you why. I want you to remember, put filter type to none and then save out of that so that you don't have any problem. Why only 46 in this area? Well, look at that lot size, but we're in Summerlin Master Plan. Even though we put in a huge tolerance, I keep telling you guys, in the iterative method, those tolerances are addressed. You got 12 bucks a square foot for dirt out there. Hey, Summerlin master plan, not a problem, especially in more of these efficiency areas where it's smaller lots. People will pay a premium for utility to have that extra stuff, extra land. New construction, I'm $310,000 property for 1753, and I'm 2009. 10%, you know, maybe 12% for new construction kicker. Not bad. Not scaring me at all. $2,600 to $3,000, you know, $3,000 for a year. Hey, you know, there's properties in there that were built in 2007 versus, let's say, 2012, 5 years, 15 grand. Sure, it's a lot less mileage on the car. I mean, again, it gets down to a point where you're looking for overall credibility in your model. Credible, 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 credible. When you guys reach this point, you know, you lock it in. Time is money. You guys are doing a comprehensive analysis. We changed our filter. You want to poke your bath up to that 8 grand? That's okay. The numbers didn't change that much. We just filtered off less. You could try a different filter. But again, the playing ends at a certain point. Time equals money. You guys get decent data sets. You'll cut through this stuff in literally a minute. Now, when you do that, you've done a comprehensive analysis, and you've done it, and you've saved yourself some time. And that's what it's all about, time and doing the statistics. You're not going to accept something in your model and be out in a minute if you have an $85,000 bath adjustment. And everything else looks good, but that bath is squirrely. So, you know, if everything's in line based on your experience, and why is that important too? You know, no matter what method you guys use, no matter what method I use, regression, sensitivity analysis, pairs, that's what you should use. At least I'm biased. But no matter what method you use, it all comes down to you validating the credibility of the output. And I keep going back to it. There's nobody standing over top of that computer's shoulder, that robo-computer at Fannie, validating the credibility of its model. That's why I assure you, if you validate that your items are credible relative to where you're at and what you're doing in the defined setting that you're doing, which that supercomputer can't define the area like you can either, I assure you they stamp off on this file and they're on to the next one because you provided a comprehensive analysis and you're the professional. And this is how our fees are going to go up, guys. This is how respect is going to go up. And now, unfortunately, there's going to be some people that don't want to play ball, and you're going to get caught. If you get compared against the Fannie Mae CU model, for example, and you have no statistical analysis in your report, in the absence of any data in your report, you're going to get slammed. But when you put in kryptonite in your report, such as this validation page, of course we didn't validate it, so it's all red right now. I'll validate it for you guys. Let's save it just so we don't have ugly. But when you put this little piece of kryptonite inside your work file, nobody's gonna play pin the tail on the donkey. You did the analysis using the gold standard method and the iterative method with it. Stamp and go on. So let's get into this last one. Go back to GandySoft, the logo, and just create a new analysis. So again, guys, you know, I printed out that page. I did that one. Limited data set. Did I even look at how many properties were in that data set? It was small. Oh yeah, I did. 13 were guard gated, and there was 21 that weren't. So 6 variables, 34 properties solved for 6 variables. Again, very difficult to even try to attempt that in a different platform with any kind of confidence levels. You know, and that's the thing too. You know, when you start kicking out, if you use regression, no problem. It's certainly a method. It's been around for a long time. There's some quality ones out there, but you know, when you start pumping out regression models without confidence factors, you're playing fast and loose with the game. The whole point of regression is to meet certain confidence factors in order to have a reasonable and credible model. So when you start leaving in stuff that says not very significant or not significant, or your confidence levels are not there, you're impacting the remaining variables in your model. Again, you know, just because you use a model in regression doesn't mean it can't get picked apart. I've seen it. I've done it. I've been in litigation cases where we played hardcore. So let's go name this one to test 3, guys. We're going to jam. We're going to get this one. This one's the fun one. Of course, I'm adding in the date. You guys don't have to do that. It was a single-family home. And my effective date on this one, my birthday, February 12th. Michael just said happy birthday. Thank you, buddy. Michael's my Valentine in the morning. My wife's the Valentine at night. So click Save. I want you guys to go to the data change button again. Make sure it says that GLAVR, Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors, in your source. Click Upload. Now, I want you guys to load, again, I don't want you to load the, I just gave you the other set, so I keep myself honest so you can backpedal. When we're done, we'll have this webinar posted probably 5 days or something, 4 days after we clean up my nostrily voice a little bit. But you'll have these data sets, so when it's recorded, you can come back and revisit these things. But I want you guys to load Test 3 pairs cleaned with Street View and remodeled. That's the data set. Just double-click it. Okay, so you know what? We're going to say we're doing a hypothetical appraisal. We're looking at data. That's all we're doing here. It's not an appraisal. We're doing data for an appraisal. Just to keep the wolves at bay on talking about data, because there's nothing wrong with talking about data, especially amongst my peers. Okay, so again, I added some fields in this data set. Now, let's go into that Fields tab, because I added some fields. I want to make sure that they're calculated. Now, the first thing I added was remodeled. Yep, there's remodeled. Is it a beneficial element? Yes. So it's good. I don't need to touch remodeled. But let's look at Street View. Street View. It's a yes/no column. I made it, Y and N. Is it beneficial? No, it's right now it says yes. Why is that? Because we didn't intuitively pick up that should be adverse. So I want you guys to drop down that yes to no. We're just making sure our field list on the 2 that we added are good. Remodeled was perfect. Street View, it had it as beneficial. We know that's not true. So once you've dropped that down to no, I want you to click Update. So again, guys, I bid off on the apple on this deal before I got an opportunity to realize I should have been charging probably another $100, maybe for my time. Maybe not 100. I don't know. Literally took me to clean the data probably an additional 45 minutes. That, you know what, time is money, so hey, I'd like to say I'm a $100 an hour dude. All of you ladies and guys should be $100 people too, and I think that's going to happen for us, so just hold on to it. But let's go up to the upper right-hand corner, that blue hyperlink, Analyze Pairs. Again, never, 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 never pay attention to the stuff that jumps off the page. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to deal with before we even get into starting to analyze. Are our adjustments really good? So again, you guys have this stuff popped up. But let's go get some context. Show you where I am. Just for reference purposes, I didn't touch this house, so we're just talking about data, guys. But you can see that I'm over here, Old Winterwood area. Our property looks like backs right to Sahara. I mean, dead on. Now, you Vegas people know, even up this far past Nellis, you know, Sahara's cooking. I mean, it's a major street. So, you know, going into this, and on top of that, it's fully remodeled property. Might be setting the upper limits of value. That's certainly something that I'm analyzing in this appraisal regardless, because I'm going to measure out some stuff. Now let me go back to the simple view. Simple view is a little bit less difficult on your eyeballs. And let's talk about market boundaries. Now, from a 1004MC perspective, you know, Winterwood is kind of all in this area where I'm navigating my mouse. And I eyeballed that at first. Was not a lot of street view stuff. So of course, we're not necessarily analyzing our comps. We don't have to match up to our 1004MC, and I certainly didn't on this one. We do want to be fairly locationally proximate, you know, in design and stuff like that. But so I define my area. You know, where am I going to do an area for a comprehensive analysis of a market environment? So now there's, as you go up here further east, there's more newer stuff and custom stuff like it. That's okay. I'm going to put in some general filters, guys. Don't worry. We're not roping in all the orchard stuff. I mean, I'm built 1968, for goodness sake, so we're not even dealing with the orchard stuff. But where did I swing this down to? You know what? I swung it down to Flamingo. Again, I'm not, yeah, my market area, not my comps. Now, this area all flows. I mean, is there some stuff in there that, like Stallion Mountain Golf Course, I mean, that is not the same product as my 1968? Sure, I'm going to put in some filters. It's not going to pick them up anyways. But all these outlying areas in here, Palm or Avondale or whatever those things are, and you know, this whole area, I mean, I'm up in here, right there, and I want data. I want to get some street location properties, because I'm measuring out something that could potentially be significant, and I need to know, because we're high side, and this house is nice. So let's put in some filters. Let's put in some filters. That's the first thing I did. Listings, pendings, and contingents and solds. We don't handle the pendings, contingents, and sold yet. And I mean yet, like very soon yet. We're going to do some whiz-bang stuff for you, not on the adjustment side, but with that data. So just put it in. Just always put it in. Get yourself used to it. Now again, I'm really majorly concerned on remodeled and location of that street. So I'm going to put in some filters, though. I don't want to pick up stuff in the Stallion Mountain Golf Course or nothing. So now on my 1004MC, for example, I just want to tell you that I'm 1,884 square feet, I believe. So on my 1004MC, I'm going plus or minus 25%, but this is not my 1004MC. I'm analyzing my market. So I'm actually going to open that up to about 35%. So I'm going to do 1,224 square feet, or let's do 1,225, to 2,543 square feet. I'm going to put in some age parameters, just some, not too hefty, but just enough to carve out the Stallion Mountain junk and the orchards. I'll put in 1953 to 1983. Listen, guys, 1968 property. 15-year swing either side really ain't going to probably kill you regardless. Now, in Glaver, and your MLS may have it too, we have one story mapped as a variable. So I'm a one-story property. I could choose one story, but again, my main driver here, I'm looking for that street view and that remodeled. So rather than take my 308 properties, that includes listings, pendings, and contingents. Actually, it's just for reference, I'll show you solds only, just so you can see the number. But we're at 216 properties. If I make it, well, that was including all property types, guys. It's 162. Yeah, I knew I didn't have that much data. But if I would have filtered it down to one story only, only cut out 16. The trick is, though, is we can make one story as the variable, show the premium for it. I'm more concerned about those street views, and I do have some street views in here. Here you go, this bad boy. He's sitting on the street. So yeah, it took a lot of time. Street. I went through all of these. Street. Sorry to make your eyes. Open up the data and show you guys what I did, because this is important. This is back to that Microsoft Excel. So I opened up my file. I copied it into Notepad. Or I opened it in Notepad and then I copied it. I open up my Excel and I pasted it. Now I'm opening up in my format, I auto column width so I can see everything. Now I pasted in the one that I cleaned, but I want to show you guys. I created a street view field and a remodeled, and I went through every record. Yeah, there was 160 records that I went through. But you know what? I mean, this is one of those ones where I should have charged an extra $100 this full remodel and back something, but I didn't. I bit on the apple before I even looked into it. And you know what? Sometimes these are interesting. Because, boy, it's interesting when you got statistical data. Even if you don't care if you make a deal or kill a deal at that point. It's all numbers. When you start to get granular with statistics, you don't care. The bias goes away. And that's the liberation feeling and that you get when you harness statistics and you have all that power at your fingers with this platform. So you can see not a whole lot of street view, but I start coding the ones that did. Same thing with remodels. I'm already looking at every property on the GIS map of my MLS, so I'm of course looking at the property photographs, comments. Took me about an extra, I'd say 45 minutes. That was 160 records. All I did, guys, when I got down to the last record, again, save as, point it to where you want it to save. Oh, that's not where I want to be. Point it to where you want to save the data. Drop it down, save it as a tab delimited a text tab delimited .txt. And just save it. Once it lets you get out of it, which it asks you a bunch of questions 25 million times, it just wants to verify. I don't know why Excel's like that. But once you save it, guys, you could have gone right into PAIRS now and you can load that file, and we did. Every one of these has already been loaded and cleaned in the PAIRS platform. So again, I got some pretty big important things that I want to look at. Now there's some properties out there that, years ago, sometimes it doesn't show, even in our data set, even though we kicked out Stallion Mountain, even though we kicked out in our data set, this old Winterwood golf course is still rocking over here. They're doing some renovations. It's supposed to open back up this year. But there's a lot of years, a lot of us were saying, at market, I should say, guys, where things do show more value. And you can see the old Desert Rose Golf Course. I call it Winterwood. It used to be the old Winterwood Golf Course. Now over here you're getting Stallion Mountainy. But what's the premium in there? Used to be years ago, you'd probably tell yourself as an appraiser here in town, it wasn't much. And a lot of times you could have showed that statistically that you were correct. But let's go back to the pairs panel because, of course, don't look at what's jumping off the field. So first thing you got to do, like I keep telling you guys, we have things that if it's in your data set and we find it, we're going to put it out there for you to say, hey, this is in your data set that we think might be significant. You can manage it. First thing I'm looking up, fixer upper. 3. I don't even know if I'm worried about that yet. Going down, guest house, come on. In this age bracket, 1. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. You know what? We had 3. I'm just going to kick these right here. Now, if we want, we might go in there and kick them totally out of analysis. But right now, we're just going to put none for solution strategy on fixer and guest house. Now, this manufactured home one, though, this one bugs me because, you know what, there are some manufactured out there. Only 5, but nonetheless, I don't like those at all. I'm not manufactured. I'm stick-built. So, you know what, I'll deal with a small bunch of junk like that in my data set. I'm not worried about that too bad. But this manufactured home, that's significant, and I want that out of there. So I'm going to go to submarket change box. I want you guys to go with me. Go to add a variable, and we're going to go down to manufactured home. We're going to click no. Now once we save, which I want you to save, you've just removed every manufactured home from analysis, which it's not pertinent to me. I don't even want to get into that situation because it's just not relevant. I'm stick-built. I mean, if you're in a very rural market and that might be something that you want to compare, well then, by goodness, you got the ability. Now, if you see it's still left, of course we got rid of fixer and guest house because we kicked those here. But manufactured home says no solution found. It's still in our panel. Sure, highlight it. Look at stats. There'll never be a solution. There's 0 records in here now that are manufactured because we removed them. And notice the submarket reflects. We had 160 records in the data set. We're only looking at 155 because we kicked 5 manufactureds out of it. So go to manufactured home in the panel here and click none. And just get it out of our face because we're still doing pruning stuff. And you know what? I just cheated. First thing we're supposed to do, but I've been talking, first thing we're supposed to do, guys, before we even started messing around, which I want you to always remember this, go into that market rate change. Go into that market rate change. Very important. Market rate change, upper left-hand corner. I should have done it. It's the first thing I want you guys to at least address. Now, it's a pretty healthy increase. Now, I know, taking the long view, you could say, I mean, if you look, though, remember, these platforms are going to pick up a lot of the heavy increases in the shorter term, too. So, you know what? Overall, I'm going to say on this one, I'm going to jump on board. I think I want us to apply the price per square foot, weighted, with distressed, everything in it. I want you guys to click apply, and I want you to click save. Now, you guys could put in 12%, 15%. I'm going to accept what it's got in the model. Because remember, this data set includes some properties outside of my 1004MC, smaller and larger, and a little older. I tightened it up a little on my 1004MC. So your rate does not have to necessarily match your rate on your sub-market. It's probably going to be very close, and similar, but it could be slightly different. There's nothing wrong with that. This is your model. Okay, first thing we add, okay, what do we need to add here before we even start looking at stuff? Well, we went through, Michael spent 45 minutes cleaning for street view and remodel. So, yeah, let's add them in before we even start looking at numbers. Remodeled status, and I want to go to street view. Go to add a variable, add remodeled and street view. Then let's click update. Now we're going to start slicing and dicing. And again, guys, this was a toughie in that it took me 45 minutes to clean my data, but that's not tough. I mean, trust me, digging a ditch is tough. That's not tough. But when I say tough, I mean when I got to this part, when we opened it up, I didn't spend 5 minutes. Maybe 5 minutes. But it wasn't much more than that, I assure you. So what do we got going here? Well, we got nothing on street view, but we've got some, let's go back again to these tolerances. I mean, here's our default, 2%, 5, 4. These are defaults for really healthy, homogeneous sets of data. And when you're starting to get 1,880 square foot house, I'm on a quarter acre, 10,000 square foot lot. I'm built in 1968. I mean, in that year, what a great year. But there's much more of a tolerance at being a pragmatic person, saying, in that competitive area, somebody might be looking at 1960, 1959. I mean, we're remodeled to the hilt. At that point, it comes down to effective age. The age of the bone's really not a big deal. So, first thing we're going to do is let's start playing with tolerance. I mean, first of all, let's go to livable area and let's look at the stats. Let us look at the stats at least at first. So we've got 160 records, so, well, there's 92 in here. Oh, well, there's some multiples. You see that count. There's 92 different variations of livable area. Over here, you'll see, for example, there's 4 properties that are 1247. There's 8 that are 1358, your tract environs. But nonetheless, I'm 1,880 square feet. What's 5%? I mean, what are we talking? In some of the cases, 60 square feet to your high side, maybe 100. I'm fine with that. We're in an older area. We're just opening up the carburetor. Like I said, that 5% still gets addressed too, so I'm not too worried about that. I want to look at lot size. I'm going to change livable area to 5%. I'm going to look at lot size. Now, I'm a big monster. I'm this one right here, 10,890. No, not a big dirt area. I mean, look, initially we're getting no solution right out of the gate on lot size, but we haven't played with tolerance. But when you start seeing that, sometimes you start to develop a pattern. But instead of 500 square feet, again, why don't we put in 20%? 20%. That's going to allow something like this 6,098 square foot lot. For all intents and purposes, it'll still be able to compare to this 4792. Maybe these properties are identical except for one difference. One other difference, or within all the tolerances you've assigned. That's all we're doing. Allows this 1,000 square foot or 10,000 square foot lot to be compared down, reach down a little bit. Gives the platform some flexibility to start extracting significant variables. And you know what? Year built. So, I mean, I'm built 1968, total remodel. There's houses in Winterwood, 1970s, 1958 to 1968 or 1978 is my parameters on my 1004 MC, a little thinned down, not on this data set. But I don't have a problem with the 10-year tolerance, especially when I know that the tolerances get addressed regardless. So let's change that to 10. And this is how quick, I'm slow walking this with you guys, and I like doing it, guys, but remember, I'm slow walking this to give you an understanding of how fast I go, though, and you will go on your own. Time equals money, so when I'm not talking, I'm rocking. Okay, so we got, gated. Ha! I guarantee you, in this age group, there ain't nothing in there that's gated. All that's saying is some realtor being funny, entered the gated field because they got some kind of a gate to the front driveway. And I'm not even getting into that. So I want you guys to go to the gated field and click none, and then update it one more time, taking gated out, because that's a realtor being funny, and this happens all around the country, guys. You know it as well as I do. It's okay. Now I made some changes. Now I got a sweet 1,900 square foot house. I mean, this guy went crazy, customized everything. It's kind of modern. It's just totally crazy. So let's start looking at our variables, though. Okay, bath, 2,000. Hey, modest area. Okay, I'm not getting upset. We're 165-ish sale price area, fully remodeled, 10% kicker. 15 to 17 grand. Granite, stainless steel, all that good stuff. Again, relative, we're twice as big as that little tiny house we did with the lower remodel. But look at the data, guys. That's based on 5,582 pairs. It's hard. Look at that distribution. It is hard to argue with the power of what you guys are delivering to the end user when they see this. They can't even explain how they got the number on the regression output. You can say, I got 5,582 pairs that went into this number. Yeah, I think it's significantly weighted. It's good. Street view. Let's get down to the money shot. I don't know. Back in Sahara for my local boys? You think 7 to almost 10 grand for an adverse street view? Hey. Ooh. Not bad, living a freeway in the backyard. Let's look at that garage bay. We got that elusive finding the unicorn in a four-leaf clover patch. We got that elusive. We could justify a $5,000 garage bay with 6,221 pairs. Look at that distribution. Again, credible. Now, here we go. Nobody ever would have imagined, but we've never done the data like you can now. That Winterwood golf course is kicking up some dust to live on that golf course. Now, that could be it's been inactive for the last 6 months because they've been renovating it, but it could be just view or privacy, stuff like that. But, golf course, living on 25 grand on the low side, not scaring me. Livable area. Okay. I mean, 31 to 44. Let's look at it. Here in 2 seconds. You know what? Let's get some context. Submarket change. Add a variable. Let's just look at sale price per square foot. Mid-range. Oh, look at that. So mid-range, probably about 77, guys. So again, filter type back to none on it and then save. But let's put that in perspective. But again, so 77 is our price per square foot median around there in this data set. So $31 to $44 with this 37. Let's 37.75. Let's do 38 divided by 77. 49.35%. Remember I said more modest areas you might get into that 40%. But it's usually that rule of thumb, 50 to 70. That's right. That golf view is kicking some tail, but look at that livable area, right about 50 cents on the dollar price per square foot. Lot. We know that area. They're not, you know what, I got a big lot, and this is going to prove the point. Not going to get a whole lot. 35, 40 cents a square foot. The difference of 4,000 square foot lot, $1,500, $1,600. Just how the data lies. Pool, Not a significant driver, but a lot of data. 4,224 records paired against each other. Look at that. We had 38 pools in our data set. Start to look at the statistics. Look, the median price. It's about $10,000 higher there, but look at the tri-mean. And remember, the ones with the pools could be the larger properties or smaller. You never know. But the maximum is lower on the no pools. Nonetheless, $6,000 for a pool, not killing me. REO and short sale, don't care. Year built. Okay. Maybe that seems high to you, but listen, guys, I'm not adjusting for anything within 8 to 10 years out there. I'm saying that's a negligible difference. Now, if I did go, let's say I grabbed something 1988, different design standards, concrete tile roofing, all that stuff, is it crazy for me to think for a 20-year swing that I'd pay 25, or someone in this area would pay 25, 26 grand more for it? No. So it's relative. And it's relative when you look at the overall context of all of our other numbers are reasonable, good, credible numbers. And bam, I got it. Now the agent might not think that street view is worth anything. Well, I got some pretty hardcore statistical results that show me that street view is adverse. And here's why. I got the freedom to pick any number in between there. They're not seeing my range. Remember, we got that validation page. No ambiguity. You assign the number. Anywhere in those goalposts is supported statistically. And we're back to that. Back to showing you the power that you guys have at your fingertips. Let's go back to that define adjustments. Well, I'm happy with all this stuff. I got no issues with any of them. Remember, my task is to get in and get out as fast as I can with some credible numbers. Look, I like to round. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm on the monster lot. Fine, I'll give you the high side. No problem. I'm still hitting you on some of the other fees. I'm leaving repo and short sale alone. I'll put that at $12.50 a year just because it sounds good. I don't know why. You know what? I'll do $7,500 for that street view. Excuse me. Michael just told me if I don't do minus $7,500, it's going to give me a goofy number. Remodeled. I don't know. What do you say, guys? 15 to 17, 16. I'll take it. 16.5. I'm using all fully remodeled properties anyways, but we can now show what that market is bearing for that feature. Good information for the end user. See how much of a premium he's paying for. Golf view, I'll go low, $25,000. Bath, $2,500 for a full bath. It's pretty small. I didn't have any variations in my data set. It's not unreasonable. It's real close to $3 grand. I'll accept $2,500 and move on. I have no problem. And again, we click validate adjustments after you save all of your adjustments. Click save and then go to validate adjustments. And we get to the money shot again. What the end user gets to see. And this is what our profession's all about, guys. You're in control. You're in control. You're doing statistical modeling, and it's not regression based, so you can explain it. And it's just as powerful as the one that those highbrow people that go get those statistics degree use, called regression. It's just done in a different way. The gold standard. Paired sales analysis in the iterative method, and you can communicate it, you can understand it, you can defend yourself. And I got news for you. You got nothing to worry about some supercomputer, because at the end of the day, if that computer is wrong, it's wrong. And if they get a file and cascade it against you, I know for a fact that this goes to a live person where they look at the model and then they look at your appraisal. You got this stuff in your appraisal, they stamp it and say, model's wrong, appraiser's correct. You did the data. Bing. End of the story. You have nothing to fear with CU. Now, use the best comps. If you don't use proximate good comps, yeah, they're going to get you on that. But you take the adjustment part off the table. You take that right off the table. Nobody's ever going to want to knuckle up and get into it with you. Print that, dump it in your report with your screenshot tool like I showed you. Boom. That easy. And then, of course, you've got the page with all the hair and the warts, your work file retention page. The one that will make you look like a rocket scientist if anybody ever wants to ask you for your work file from the state or something like that. Or, you know what? You get into doing litigation work. It's very fruitful work. Huh. I assure you, go head-to-head with somebody that's using regression when you're using this. I have. I win. You might want to show this if you're doing that kind of situation. But this is the power, guys, that you have. Now, we didn't even get into today to scenario modeling, and we don't actually have any time to. That's on a prior webinars. I've done it twice. We're going to make a small snippet, break it out for you on one, where you solve for a variable. Again, at the bottom of any page, there's the YouTube channel link. Click to that. There's just a ton of insightful stuff. I show you scenario modeling where I solve by a different method using land sales for this January 31st, 2015. I watched both of them, but I believe that if you want to get into scenario modeling, this live webinar on January 31st, 2015, I solved for land in a custom area where every regression program and pairs was picking up goofy number for lot size, and in a custom market. We're talking it was kicking out crazy numbers. Even on the lowest regression area one I had, it was $6 a square foot. I solved for half acre versus 3 half acre and 3 acre sales, $1.50, plug it in, and all the other stuff lit up like a Christmas tree. And it was statistically done correct because we built it into our model. You can't do that with a lot of stuff out there, man. You can solve for a handset of paired sales, solve for a different variable, and exponentially make it easier for the platform to sniff out the other adjustments based on that rule set. You might have to explain it, which I did, but depreciated cost, a lot of flexibility. If you get noise in your data set, there's a lot of flexibility of how you can handle it. You can start messing with tolerances, filter it out, or go old school. Solve for it, save your data and show your data from where you solve for it, build it into your model, and then you have a statistically sound environment by which you looked at a model and looked at your variables. So this YouTube channel has tons and tons of content, lots of webinars. Got that short boy that most of you watch. But, you got some time, bottle of wine, 6-pack of beer, whatever your preference, some water, I don't care. You got some free time, dig in. It's not hard to watch these things. If you got dual monitors, play it in the background. Maybe grab a cup of coffee when I get into some of these analysis and just look over at it. If you guys engage, within 20 analysis, you'll be slicing and dicing like a madman. I mean, it's rare. Even on the toughest ones do I spend more than 5 minutes, 10 minutes on one. Easy peasy with homogeneous data, which Las Vegas is known for. You get a couple hundred sales of homogeneous data, and you're just literally printing your page. I mean, it's scary. You can start testing all kinds of variables at that point if you want, but you've got statistical support, and that's what it's all about. So we want to wrap up, and thank you guys very much. Have a happy Valentine's Day, and thanks for attending the webinar, and keep engaging. You're the professional. Nobody's going to replace you. Nobody has more geographic competency than you. Nobody can define a market area like you, and nobody can provide this kind of statistical data except for you. This platform can't be automated. It requires the engagement of the professional. That's you. So show your work. Be transparent. And the tides will rise, and we'll all be in a better fee situation as a result. So thank you very much.